make a lemon pound cake that then we are going to brush with a lemon syrup and then cover in a lemon glaze. So first we want to make the cake. I'm going to start with 3 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to stir those together. Then I'm going to mix a cup of buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk on hand, there's an episode of How to Make Buttermilk Pancakes, I think, that shows you how I make buttermilk. Basically, it's a tablespoon of vinegar, and then fill it up the rest for a cup till you get to a full cup. And then let it sit for about 10 minutes and it'll make buttermilk for you. And then I have 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of lemon zest. Tightly packed lemon zest. You want to get all the lemon flavor you can. Which is why I shoved it all down in there. Now we're going to mix this together. And let that sit. Okay. Now in my mixing bowl I have 2 sticks of butter that are softened. And to that I'm going to add 2.5 cups of sugar. I'm going to cream these together. I'm going to start on low, slowly increase the speed, and then I'm going to let it sit on high for about 6 minutes. Leave it here for about 6 minutes and then we'll be back. Alright, so our butter and sugar have been creaming for about 6 minutes. It's now light and fluffy. We're going to take 3 large eggs. I'm going to add it to it. I'm going to start off slow again, slowly build it back up, and then we're going to leave it on high for another 6 minutes. So our eggs have been mixing for a good 6 minutes. And now I'm going to add part of the flour mixture. And we're just going to leave this on low. We're going to alternate between the flour and the buttermilk and go back and forth until we've added everything. And you want to do it really slowly because of the lemon and the milk. If you add it too quickly, it'll split apart, and it'll curdle and it won't mix back. So you do it very slowly. And always when you're alternating dry and wet ingredients, you're going to end with dry ingredients. That makes the cake thicken up. And now we're going to prepare our bundt pan. So here I have my bundt pan. Anyone who has ever worked with one knows that these are notoriously fickle. They're not the pans, but getting things out of the pan in one piece. So I'm going to take my pan grease that I make. There's a video on that if you haven't seen it. If you just want to know a quick recap, it's a cup of vegetable oil, a cup of vegetable shortening, and a cup of flour. And I mix it on high until it becomes this like paste. Now, if you can see, I am going into every little nook and cranny with this pan grease. That's what it's called. And it's okay to be super liberal with it. Don't be stingy. The last thing you want is to make this beautiful bundt cake and have it stick to the pan or not come out at all. Because part of the appeal of a bundt cake like this is that pretty shape. So the other thing I'm going to do with this one it's a new secret I learned from someone else who does bundt cakes a lot. Is I have some sugar. Now, this already has flour in it. The sugar's not going to hurt it. So we're just going to sprinkle some sugar in the bottom. And then move it all around to make sure. It's going to create a barrier. It'll make sure that the cake comes out and doesn't stick to the pan. And yes, it makes a mess that I will clean up, but I'm trying to get it on the middle part of the bundt cake because this is where I always get stuck, is the hole in the middle of the bundt pan. My cake always sticks there. So we're going to make sure that we don't have that problem this time. And there we are. You can see that there is sugar all the way around. Let's get a little more here. And look at it closely. If there are pieces that are missing sugar, fix that. Because you don't want to cook this beautiful cake and then not be able to get it out of the pan. All right, now I'm going to take my batter. If I can get it out of the pan. Okay. I'm going to stir it one more time just to make sure we get everything fully incorporated. There's a little bit of flour on top. You want to make sure you get that mixed in. A little bit of lemon zest here and there. So you want to make sure that it's all one consistency. See how pretty? And it's all uniform. There we go. Now we're going to pour into our bundt pan. Make sure you scrape the bottom of the bowl. You want to get all the batter out. Now, if you don't have a bundt pan, don't fear. You can make this same lemon pound cake in a bread pan. It'll work just as well, the same. You might need 2 bread pans instead of 1 bundt cake, but it'll still work out beautifully. And here we are. So I have my oven is preheated to 325 degrees. I'm going to get a cookie sheet and put this on there, slide it into the oven, and it will bake for 60 minutes to 75 minutes. And then we'll be back. So our bundt cake took the entire 75 minutes. That's an hour and 15 minutes to cook all the way through. And I took a cake tester, stuck it inside, and it came out clean. That's how we know. Now I'm going to take an offset spatula, which is usually an icing spatula. And I'm just going to run it along the outside to make sure that it doesn't stick. And then we are going to let this cool for about 10 minutes and only 10 minutes. Any longer than that and it'll get stuck to the pan, which we don't want. So as you can see, just coming And then we will come back, let it cool on a wire rack, and then I will make the syrup to brush over the top. There we go. All right, moment of truth. It's been 10 minutes. I'm going to take my bundt cake. And it came out perfectly. Now we're going to make our glaze that will brush over it. Okay, so in order to keep the lemon pound cake from drying out, we're going to make a simple syrup. This is an equal combination of water and sugar. I have a 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of sugar. We're going to put this on medium and just bring it to a boil. Once it boils, we're going to remove it from the heat, add a 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then let it cool a little before we brush it onto our pound cake. So all we're going to do is let it sit and come to a boil. This really takes 2-3 minutes. Our sugar water simple syrup is boiling. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to move it off the burner. And then I have a 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice that we are going to stir in. Then we're going to let this cool. About 5 or 6 minutes, and then we will brush it on the cake. So our simple syrup with the lemon juice in it is cool enough now that we can start drizzling it onto we're going to brush it on so we make sure we get all the pieces. But you want to do it slowly. You don't want to pour it all on because then most of it actually ends up on the parchment paper underneath the rack and not on the cake itself. So we're just going to brush all the way around, and then we're going to let it sit and come back and brush more if we have more of the simple syrup left. And we'll keep doing this until all of the simple syrup is gone. So the first layer is done. We'll wait for all of this to absorb, and then we'll come back and do another layer. So our first round of simple syrup has soaked in, so we're going to do our second round. All I'm going to do is keep brushing it in. And once all of this simple syrup has soaked in, we will let this cool for a couple hours, and then we will make our glaze. Like we're going to have one more round of the simple syrup. So, last round of our simple syrup. There's not a whole lot left. And we're just going to get as much flavor of that syrup into the cake as we can. And then we will cool this for at least 2 hours. We're going to do it overnight because it's getting late. And then we will make the glaze tomorrow. So I'm going to let this sit with just the sugar on it for another 30 minutes, and then I'll wrap it up and put it in the refrigerator and come back tomorrow to glaze it. So our lemon pound cake has been cooling overnight. Now I'm going to make the glaze for it. I have 2 cups of powdered sugar and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And all I'm going to do is whisk this together. And if it's too thick, we're just going to add some water. Yep, looks like we're going to need some water. Okay, so I have 2 tablespoons of water, and I'm going to start with just a tablespoon. I want it to be a consistency that it will be a glaze, not an icing I have to spread, but one I just have to pour over the top. So I'm whisking to get all of the lumps out, like that. But still at a consistency where I pull it off and it just drizzles down. That's perfect. So now I'm going to take my ladle. We're just going to spoon across the top. And then the remaining glaze, I'm just going to put in the hole in the middle. That way, if people want extra of the glaze, they can have it. And if they don't, they just don't take that part of it. And there you have it. Lemon glazed pound cake.